Beloved, hear me now. There comes a moment in every chosen soul's life when the whisper of destiny grows louder than the noise of doubt, when the call of God rises higher than the opinions of people, when heaven leans in close and says, "Stand up, child, it is your time." And oh, how powerful that time is. Because the rise of a chosen one is never quiet. It is never ordinary. It is never something the world plans for. No, your rise is something God Himself orchestrates, thread by thread, moment by moment, long before your family ever knew the greatness you carried. Some of them saw your childhood, but they never saw your calling. Some saw your mistakes, but they never saw your mantle. Some saw you break, but they never saw how God was holding the pieces. And that is why, my dear heart, your rise will shock them. There are seasons in a person's life when silence feels like a companion and obscurity feels like a cloak wrapped tight around the shoulders. You may look around and wonder why others seem to be celebrated, elevated, applauded, and seen, while you walk quietly unnoticed as though your brilliance has been tucked beneath layers of dust. But let me tell you gently, like a grandmother holding your hands in hers, you were never overlooked, child. You were hidden, and there is a world of difference between the two. Being overlooked means someone failed to see your worth. Being hidden means God intentionally covered you, protected you, and kept you out of sight while He completed His masterpiece within you. Hidden things are precious. Hidden things are sacred. Hidden things are only revealed when they are ready and not a moment sooner. Think of the seed planted deep in the earth. No one stands over the soil applauding the seed's quiet work. No one cheers for its roots stretching through darkness. No one celebrates the moment that tiny shell cracks open, making room for life to emerge. But all the while the seed is doing the most important work, growing where no one can see. And when the season shifts, when the sun calls to it, when the ground can no longer contain the life inside, it rises. Not because the world watched, but because God ordained it. This is you. This has always been you. There were times you cried because you believed nobody noticed your effort, your heart, your sacrifices. You wondered why your kindness was taken for granted, why your talent went unrecognized, why your hard work didn't seem to open the doors you prayed for. You thought something was wrong with you. You convinced yourself that you were not enough. But God was whispering, "Not yet, my child. Your moment has not arrived. Your wings are still forming. Stay hidden while I finish you." Hiddenness is God's sanctuary for the chosen. He hides you so the wrong hands cannot handle you. He hides you so envy cannot poison you. He hides you so premature exposure cannot weaken you. He hides you because your calling is too weighty to be rushed into the light. There were opportunities that slipped through your fingers, but they were never meant for you. There were people who walked away, but their chapter in your story had already ended. There were rooms you weren't invited into, but their ceilings were too low for the wings God was growing on your back. Every closed door was God locking you in a holy workshop, shaping your character in the dark, refining your courage in silence, sharpening your discernment in solitude. And oh, how powerful the hidden years are, those years when you prayed with nobody listening, when you smiled through pain that nobody acknowledged, when you carried burdens that nobody saw, when you held yourself together with threads the world never bothered to notice. Hidden years make holy vessels. Do not resent the seasons where nobody clapped for you. Do not despise the chapters where life seemed still and slow. Those were not wasted pages, they were the foundation. God was strengthening your roots so that when the wind comes, and it always comes, you would not snap under pressure. Your hidden years built a resilience many people will envy once your rise becomes visible. And here is the truth that stirs in the deepest part of your spirit. The people who overlooked you weren't supposed to see you. They did not possess the eyes to recognize who you were becoming. They judged the seed and had no idea it carried the blueprint for a forest. They saw the cocoon and dismissed it, but God knew there was a butterfly pressing its wings against the walls. Sometimes hiding is the greatest mercy heaven can give. If you had risen too early, your success would have been fragile. If you had been celebrated too soon, applause would have misdirected your purpose. If people had honored you before God finished you, their voices might have drowned out his. So he covered you. He tucked you under his wing. He kept you in the quiet. He surrounded you with storms meant to strengthen you, not break you. He held you in a place where his voice was the only one you could hear. And while others ran ahead in the race of life, God kept you standing still, not because you were unworthy, but because he was preparing you to fly. Now the world is about to see what heaven has known all along. You are stepping out of the shadows with wisdom you could not have gained in the light. You are emerging with strength that only solitude can produce. You are rising with a grace that can only be formed in the dark. People will wonder where you came from, how you carry so much power, why your presence feels different. They will think your rise was sudden, but you will know nothing about you is sudden. You were growing the whole time, just hidden. So lift your chin, chosen one. You were not forgotten. You were not ignored. You were not abandoned. You were hidden, protected, prepared, preserved, so that when God reveals you, no human hand can take credit. Your season of hiddenness was God's greatest act of love. And now, with steady feet and a brave heart, you are stepping into the light of your divine becoming. There comes a moment in every chosen life when God decides to lift the veil, pull back the curtain, and let the world witness the rise he has been preparing in secret. And when that moment comes, it does not happen quietly. It echoes, it stirs the air. It shakes the familiar. It unsettles the ones who believed they knew you simply because they watched you grow. For nothing confuses the comfortable more than a person who refuses to stay where history placed them. And child, your rise will bewilder, astonish, and yes, shock your family. Families remember who you were, not who you are becoming. They recall the child who stumbled, not the warrior who endured. They cling to your past because it is the version of you that makes sense to them, the version that fits their memories. They do not always see your evolution, because transformation often happens in quiet corners, behind closed doors, deep within the soul where no one else gets invited. But when God decides it is your time, your real time, he reveals a version of you that even your family did not expect. A version refined by storms they never saw. A version strengthened by prayers they never heard. A version shaped by a God they cannot outrun. Family tends to judge you by the chapter they walked in on. They think they know your whole story because they were present in the early pages. They forget that God, the author of all things, has been writing plot twists in the margins of your destiny. And the next chapter he is preparing for you. Oh, my dear. It will leave them speechless. Some of them counted you out before you ever began. Some doubted the fire inside you because they never felt its heat. Some dismissed your gifts, believing nothing extraordinary could grow from soil they considered ordinary. Some believed your destiny ended the moment you stumbled. They saw your failures as final, not realizing that God uses broken pieces to craft the strongest vessels. And when God lifts you, truly lifts you, it forces people to reevaluate everything they assumed. Your family will look at your rise and whisper, "How did they do that? When did God start using them like this? Where did this confidence, this grace, this power come from?" They will ask questions not because they are curious, but because your elevation interrupts the version of you they were comfortable believing in. You see, people grow accustomed to your smallness. They learn to rest in your weaknesses. They rely on your insecurities to keep you predictable. But when God calls you forward, when he crowns you with purpose and places destiny on your shoulders, your rise disturbs that comfort. Your glow challenges their assumptions. Your strength contradicts their expectations. Family, with all its love and all its flaws, sometimes struggles to accept your becoming, not because they are unkind, but because human memory is powerful. They remember you through the lens of familiarity, while God views you through the lens of eternity. And eternity always wins. There is something holy about a rise that comes from God. It is not loud in the beginning, it is steady. It does not seek validation. It carries authority. It does not announce itself. It simply unfolds gracefully, boldly, undeniably. And when family witnesses that unfolding, it disrupts their narrative. Some will celebrate you. Some will grow silent. Some will distance themselves, confused by the newness of your spirit. Some will try to bring you back into the small places you've outgrown. Some will attempt to pull you into old arguments, old roles, old wounds. But you must stand firm, because your rise is not a mistake. It is not luck. It is not a surprise to heaven. It is the manifestation of every tear you cried, every seed you planted, every night you stayed awake whispering prayers no one else heard. It is the fruit of faithfulness, the reward of endurance, the harvest of not giving up when you felt the world pushing you down. Your family may not understand how you rose from the ashes, but they didn't see the hand of God in the fire. They didn't know the way He held your mind together when life tried to scatter your thoughts. They didn't hear the sacred conversations between your soul and your Creator in the midnight hour. They didn't witness the days you stood on trembling legs and kept walking forward anyway. You survived chapters that would have taken others out. You endured valleys that tried to swallow you whole. You kept breathing when hope was thin and strength was scarce. That kind of resilience is not born, it is built. And God Himself was your architect. So when your family sees your rise, they will be shocked because they didn't see the construction. They saw the struggle, but not the scaffolding. They saw the pain, but not the preparation. They saw the wounds, but not the healing hands of heaven stitching you whole. You are becoming someone God always intended you to be, someone your family never imagined, someone your past cannot restrain. They will marvel at the glow in your eyes, the authority in your voice, the clarity in your purpose. They will try to match this version of you with the one they remember, and the two will not fit. And that is how God works. He raises you in a way that forces every witness to acknowledge His hand. Your rise becomes a testimony. It becomes a sermon without words. It becomes proof that God exalts the humble, strengthens the weary, and honors the faithful. So walk tall, child. Walk gently but boldly. Walk with a knowing in your spirit that your rise is divine and divinely timed. And when your family stands in awe, unable to understand what changed, let your spirit smile softly, not with pride, but with gratitude. Because you will know what they do not. That every step, every shift, every elevation came from the one who promised long ago that He would make your name shine in due season. Your rise will shock them, yes, but it will also teach them this truth. There are seasons in a person's life when pain becomes a silent teacher, stern, uninvited, yet holy in its own mysterious way. Pain walks with you like an old companion, whispering lessons in a language only the wounded understand. It holds your hand in the dark, pushes you towards strength you didn't know you had, and molds you into a vessel capable of carrying wisdom that cannot be taught in comfort. Child, every tear you shed, every battle you fought, every scar you carry has been shaping you into someone extraordinary. Your pain built your power. People often look at the rise of a soul and assume it came easy. They see the smile but not the nights you cried into your pillow. They see the confidence but not the trembling steps that brought you there. They see your strength but not the storms that threatened to break you. They do not know the cost of your courage, because pain does not send out invitations. It teaches its lessons in private. Pain carved patience into your spirit. Pain taught you how to bend without breaking. Pain showed you that survival is not always loud. Sometimes it is the simple act of getting out of bed, breathing, and choosing to hope again. There were moments when you felt as though life had tossed you into a pit with no ladder. Moments when your dreams felt small in your hands, like fragile things that would crumble if you held them too tight. There were days when you didn't recognize yourself, when the reflection staring back at you looked tired, worn, a little lost. Pain does that. It strips away the illusions and leaves you face to face with your raw, unfiltered soul. And though it is frightening, it is also where your true strength is born. Pain forced you to grow roots. It demanded resilience. It taught you endurance. While others coasted through easy seasons, you were learning how to fight, how to heal, how to rise again and again, even when rising felt impossible. That kind of power does not come from books or lectures. It is birthed in valleys, in storms, in the quiet places where you wrestle with your own humanity and come out braver. People who have never sat in the ashes do not understand the fire survivor who stands before them. They see your glow now, but they do not know it came from walking through flames. They see your strength now, but they do not realize it was built from being knocked down more times than you can count. They see your wisdom now, but they do not recognize that wisdom was forged in confusion, heartbreak, and grief. Pain is a stern sculptor. It chisels away the unnecessary. It refines. It purifies. It sharpens the edges of your purpose. And though you may not have wanted it, pain gave you the greatest gift, perspective. It taught you what matters and what does not. It taught you how to love deeper and forgive quicker. It taught you that peace is priceless, and anything that disturbs it is too expensive. It taught you to walk away from people who mishandle you. It taught you to choose yourself even when others don't. It taught you that you can be knocked down, shattered, betrayed, and still rise with dignity and grace. Pain showed you the depth of your spirit. It revealed resilience you didn't know you possessed. In your darkest hours, when you thought you were alone, heaven was closest, quietly holding your heart together while you learned to breathe in brokenness. God does not waste pain, He transforms it into power. Look back at the wounds you carried. Look at how far you've come. There was a time you thought you'd never laugh again. And yet here you are, still standing, still growing, still becoming. Pain pushed you into strength you would have never chosen on your own. It made you wiser, softer, stronger, all at the same time. And let me tell you something sacred. There is a glow that belongs only to those who have suffered and survived. A glow that cannot be faked or borrowed. A glow that comes from knowing you walked through things that should have broken you but didn't. A glow that comes from realizing your own soul has muscle memory for resurrection. You did not just endure pain, you transformed through it. You learned how to sit with disappointment without letting it define you. You learned how to carry grief without letting it drown you. You learned how to forgive people who never apologized, because peace meant more than pride. You learned how to love yourself enough to leave situations that tried to steal your joy. You learned how to rebuild from ruins, brick by brick, prayer by prayer. And now when people see your strength, they might think it came naturally. They might believe you were always this courageous. They might assume the mantle you carry was handed to you. But you know the truth. Your strength was carved from sorrow. Your courage was built from survival. Your power was forged from battles nobody saw. Pain shaped your voice. It gave you authority when you speak, compassion when you listen, and discernment when you choose who to trust. It taught you that not every fight deserves your energy and not every opinion deserves your attention. Pain taught you to choose peace, to choose purpose, to choose yourself. Let the world call you strong. Let them admire your glow. Let them marvel at the way you walk with your head high after storms. But only you know the truth. You are powerful because you survived what was meant to destroy you. You are wise because you listened to the lessons hidden inside heartbreak. You are whole because you refuse to let brokenness have the final word. Your rise is not surprising to heaven. It is the fruit of every wound, every tear, every lonely night. It is the harvest of pain turned into purpose. You are powerful not in spite of your pain, but because of it. There comes a time in a person's journey when they finally understand that they were never the odd one out, never the mistake, never the misfit. They were the answer, the remedy, the shift, the divine interruption in a long line of cycles that needed to be broken. And child, whether you knew it or not, whether you embraced it early or ran from it for years, you have always been the one chosen to bring light into places where darkness lived too long. You are not the black sheep. You are the breakthrough of your bloodline. Families carry stories. Some are sweet like honey, wrapped in laughter and warm memories. Others are heavy, generational bruises passed from parent to child, habits and hurts whispered through the years, patterns that cling to the family tree like stubborn vines. There are cycles of fear, cycles of lack, cycles of silence, cycles of settling for less, cycles of wounds that were never healed but simply endured. And then God sends someone different. Someone who questions everything. Someone who feels deeply, loves fiercely, dreams wildly. Someone who does not fit the mold and refuses to shrink to please it. Someone who carries a spirit that shakes the dust off old traditions. Someone who, without even trying, begins to shift the atmosphere around them. That someone is you. The world may have labeled you rebellious, dramatic, too sensitive, too ambitious, too spiritual, too emotional, too much of everything they could not understand. But heaven knew exactly what it was doing when it placed that fire inside you. You were designed to disrupt what needed to change. You were crafted to see what others overlooked. You were born with a soul that could not accept dysfunction as normal. Every family has someone chosen to be the turning point. The one who refuses to repeat the mistakes of those before them. The one who asks the hard questions. The one who sees beyond the surface, hears God in the stillness, and feels destiny pulling at their ribs like a magnet. The one who says, "This ends with me." It is not an easy calling to be the first one who wants more. The first one who sees more. The first one brave enough to step out of inherited shadows. It takes courage to break patterns. It takes faith to uproot generational habits that have been watered with years of silence. It takes a strong back and a tender heart to build what no one in your family has ever seen. You felt the weight of it, didn't you? You felt the pressure to be different. You felt the discomfort of being misunderstood. You felt the loneliness of walking paths your family never walked. You felt the strange ache of hearing God call you forward when others wanted you to stay small. You felt the pull of destiny humming beneath your skin even when you tried to ignore it. You did not choose this calling. It chose you. And every battle you fought was a sign of that calling. The enemy does not attack what is ordinary. He goes after the one carrying the blueprint for change. He wars against the one born to break curses. He targets the one who carries the oil for the entire bloodline. Your hardships were not punishments. They were indicators. Proof that you are different. Proof that you are meant for more. You faced storms your siblings never faced. You endured trials your parents never understood. You walked through fire alone because God was lighting a path no one else could walk with you. You were being shaped into a foundation. You were being molded into a bridge. You were being prepared to raise the standard for generations to come. And child, you succeeded. You broke emotional patterns simply by healing. You broke spiritual cycles simply by praying. You broke financial curses simply by dreaming of more. You broke toxic traditions simply by choosing truth over silence. You broke chains simply by saying, "I refuse to live this way." The people who came before you did what they knew. They survived with the tools they had. They passed down what they could, but they could not give you what they never received. That is why God chose you to gather every broken piece and build a new legacy. You are not here to judge them. You are here to redeem what they could not. You are not here to resent them. You are here to rise for them. You are not here to inherit their wounds. You are here to heal them. Your existence alone is a correction to your family line. Your choices are rewriting the story. Your courage is shifting the atmosphere. Your obedience is unlocking blessings your ancestors prayed for but never lived to see. Do you know how powerful that is? When you speak life over yourself, you are speaking life over generations yet unborn. When you break a toxic pattern, you are freeing children you haven't met. When you choose healing, heaven celebrates because a new chapter has begun. You are the gate God opened in your family. You are the answer to prayers they whispered in desperation. You are the fulfillment of dreams your ancestors could not articulate but longed for deeply. You are the one who carries the torch into a brighter future. It is no wonder you always felt different. It is no wonder your journey felt heavy. You were never just living your own story, you were carrying the stories of those before you, and rewriting the stories of those who will come after. Lift your head, straighten your shoulders, take a deep breath. You are the turning point. You are the shift. You are the generational break in the clouds. And though your family may not understand your path, though they may not see the weight of what you carry, heaven sees, God sees. And the generations after you will thank you for it. You are the breakthrough of your bloodline. You are the blessing wrapped in human form. You are the chosen one sent to build what has never been built, to heal what has never been healed, to birth what has never been spoken. There comes a tender hour in every chosen life when God leans your heart toward forgiveness, not because the people who hurt you earned it, not because the wounds suddenly stopped aching, not because the memories finally soften, but because God is preparing you for a rise that requires a lighter soul. Elevation cannot rest on a heart crowded with resentment. Breakthrough cannot grow in soil poisoned by bitterness, and destiny cannot unfold fully in a spirit still tied to old disappointments. So he whispers, gently but firmly, let it go, not for them, for you, because where I am taking you, you cannot carry this weight. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Oh no, child. It does not deny the pain. It does not erase the betrayal. It does not pretend the hurt never happened. Forgiveness is a holy release, a bold decision to untie yourself from the past, so your spirit can breathe again. It is freedom wrapped in faith. It is courage wearing softness. It is strength disguised as surrender. You have held much inside you, unspoken grief, disappointments buried under forced smiles, wounds that never healed because no one ever apologized. You carried the mistakes of others on your back as though they were your own. You endured silence where love should have been. You bore the weight of expectations that belonged to people who never understood the brilliance in your soul. But you cannot rise with clenched fists. You cannot soar with shackled wings. Forgiveness is the key that breaks the chains. The people who bruised you were operating from their own brokenness. Hurt people rarely realize the harm they inflict. People who have not healed often bleed on anyone who gets too close. And though their actions wounded you deeply, they did not have the power to define you. Yes, they shape chapters of your story, but they do not write your ending. God does. Forgiveness is not letting them off the hook. It is letting yourself off the hook. It is saying, what you did hurt me, but it will not own me. It will not follow me into my future. It will not sit beside me at the table God is preparing for me. My dear, you deserve a future untouched by bitterness. You deserve sleep that is not interrupted by memories. You deserve joy that is not shadowed by what was done to you. And God, in His infinite tenderness, is lifting you higher than your pain, higher than your past, higher than the voices that tried to drown out your calling. Sometimes God will elevate you in front of the very people who doubted you, not to embarrass them, but to heal you. To show you that their rejection did not break you, that their silence did not silence you, that their lack of belief did not diminish the promise on your life. When you forgive them, you reclaim your power. Forgiveness is not a single moment. It is a practice, a quiet choice you make over and over again, a gentle turn away from bitterness each time it calls your name, a soft refusal to let old wounds reopen. It takes time. It takes tears. It takes talking to God in the small hours of the night, asking Him to soothe the parts of you that still ache. It takes courage to face what hurt you without letting it define you. But every time you choose forgiveness, truly choose it, you grow lighter, stronger, freer. Some of the people you must forgive will never admit what they did. Some will never understand the damage they caused. Some may still be blind to their own brokenness. But your healing does not depend on their acknowledgement. Your rise does not require their apology. God is your vindication, and heaven keeps careful record. You forgive because your spirit deserves peace. You forgive because your path is holy. You forgive because your destiny is too great to be delayed by yesterday. You forgive because God has poured too much grace into you for you to withhold it from others. Forgiveness prepares you for blessings that bitterness would block. It softens your heart so love can grow where wounds once lived. It strengthens your soul so wisdom can take root. It clears your mind so you can hear God's voice more clearly. It opens your hands so you can receive what is waiting for you in the next season. And make no mistake, your next season is greater than anything you have walked through. That is why forgiveness is required. You cannot step into abundance while dragging chains of resentment. You cannot receive open doors while holding on to closed ones. You cannot hold the hand of destiny if your fingers are still wrapped around old offenses. Letting go is not weakness. It is power. It is choosing your future over your past. It is choosing peace over bitterness. It is choosing growth over comfort. It is choosing God's simplest plan over your pain. And child, when you finally release the weight of what hurt you, you will feel something extraordinary: space. Room inside your spirit for joy to bloom again. Room for clarity. Room for new relationships, new opportunities, new strength. Room for God to breathe fresh wind over your soul. Your rise will shock your family, yes, but your forgiveness will heal you. You will walk differently. You will speak with authority. You will love with wisdom. You will shine with a softness only healed hearts carry. Your presence will no longer echo past wounds but future glory. And when God lifts you higher, when He crowns you with the grace that was always meant for you, those who hurt you will see it, not as a punishment but as a testimony, a living reminder that God restores, God redeems, God rewrites.